In the vast world of comic book battles, there are few matchups as intense as the clash between Sentry, Marvel's powerhouse with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, and Knull, the god of the symbiotes. The stakes are incredibly high, as these two beings possess near godlike abilities, capable of devastating entire universes with just a fraction of their power. But when they face each other, who would emerge victorious? To answer this, we need to break down their strengths, weaknesses, and abilities in detail to determine who would come out on top in a fight to the finish. Sentry's strengths: the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. Sentry, also known as Robert Reynolds, is a hero whose power transcends the boundaries of most beings in the Marvel Universe. His strength is one of the most extraordinary traits, and his abilities are nearly unmatched. With the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, Sentry can demolish entire cities, crush formidable foes, and even stand toe-to-toe with cosmic entities like Galactus. His strength isn't just physical. His abilities extend into nearly every aspect of combat, from regeneration to flight, and even light-based energy blasts. One of the most terrifying things about Sentry is his regenerative factor. His healing is nearly instantaneous, making him difficult to incapacitate for good. Sentry can survive massive injuries, such as being torn apart by Hulk or taking the full brunt of nuclear blasts. His resistance to harm means he's a nearly impossible target to defeat, especially with his enhanced stamina that allows him to keep fighting for prolonged periods without tiring. His nearly invulnerable state gives him the edge in terms of durability and endurance, which would play a key role in any battle. His speed is also considerable. While not at the level of the Flash, Sentry can outpace most foes with his high level of reaction time. This agility, combined with his strength, allows him to anticipate and avoid attacks, adding to his overall combat effectiveness. Furthermore, his ability to manipulate light energy is another aspect that makes him a powerful foe. Sentry can focus this energy into destructive blasts, capable of obliterating even the toughest of enemies. However, his mental state plays a pivotal role in his effectiveness in battle. Sentry's power comes with an inherent instability, especially when his darker half, the Void, surfaces. Knull's strengths: the god of symbiotes. On the other hand, we have Knull, the god of the symbiotes, a being whose power is rooted in darkness itself. Knull is an ancient entity, older than the universe itself, and his strength comes from his control over symbiotes. Unlike Sentry, Knull's power isn't just physical. It is deeply tied to his ability to manipulate the dark energy that permeates the universe. This gives him access to immense cosmic abilities that few, if any, can match. Knull's greatest strength lies in his ability to control all symbiotes in existence. He created the symbiote race and remains their ultimate ruler, able to summon and control them at will. This includes Venom, Carnage, and all other symbiote-based characters in the Marvel Universe. This control over symbiotes not only gives Knull an army at his disposal, but also makes him incredibly difficult to harm. He can create symbiote constructs and weapons out of thin air, using them as extensions of his will. This allows him to adapt his fighting style to any opponent, creating tools or defensive mechanisms as the need arises. Additionally, Knull has a wide range of other powers that make him an incredibly versatile combatant. He can manipulate dark energy to form blasts of destructive force, shaping it into powerful weapons or shielding himself from attacks. This energy manipulation gives him the advantage in ranged combat, allowing him to strike from a distance while staying safe behind his dark barriers. Knull is also immortal. He cannot be permanently destroyed because he exists in a state of being that transcends physical reality. Even if you defeat him, he will simply regenerate, much like a symbiote does when injured. This makes him a nearly unstoppable force, as he can keep fighting indefinitely, no matter how powerful his opponent is. His immortality, combined with his ability to shape dark energy and control symbiotes, makes him one of the most formidable beings in the Marvel Universe. Weaknesses of Sentry and Knull, where their strengths falter. While both Sentry and Knull possess incredible power, they also have their weaknesses, and these could play a crucial role in a battle between the two. Sentry's primary weakness is his mental instability. His powers are deeply tied to his emotional state, and when he succumbs to his darker half, the void, he becomes a danger to everyone, including himself. The void is a manifestation of Sentry's darkest impulses, and it is a separate entity that can sometimes take control of Sentry's body. When the void takes over, it can weaken Sentry's focus and make him vulnerable to outside attacks. His power fluctuates, and his sense of self can be shattered, leaving him susceptible to manipulation. In contrast, Knull's greatest weakness lies in his dependence on symbiotes. While Knull can control them and shape them to his will, his power is tied to the symbiotes themselves. If the symbiotes were ever neutralized, or if Knull were isolated from them, his strength would be greatly diminished. Knull is also vulnerable to beings who can manipulate energy, such as characters who possess light-based abilities or other forms of cosmic energy that could disrupt his dark energy manipulation. While he is immortal, Knull is still capable of suffering, and there are limits to his power that could be exploited by a determined opponent. Final battle: Sentry versus Knull. Who would win? In a head-to-head battle between Sentry and Knull, the outcome would likely depend on who can exploit the other's weaknesses first. On one hand, Sentry's raw strength and ability to regenerate give him a huge advantage in terms of endurance and physical combat. He can take an incredible amount of damage and keep fighting, and his light-based energy attacks could cause significant harm to Knull, whose power is based on dark energy. However, Sentry's mental instability could be his downfall in this battle. If Knull could find a way to exploit Sentry's emotional vulnerabilities, he could weaken the hero's resolve and cause him to lose control to the void, turning the tide of the battle in Knull's favor. Knull, on the other hand, has the ability to manipulate the very fabric of the symbiotes and dark energy, which gives him a versatile range of powers that can overwhelm Sentry. Knull's immortality makes him extremely difficult to defeat, as he can regenerate from nearly any injury. Additionally, his control over the symbiotes could give him an army of creatures to fight alongside him, potentially overwhelming Sentry with sheer numbers and strategy. While Sentry has the edge in terms of raw strength, speed, and regenerative abilities, Knull's control over dark energy and the symbiotes, combined with his immortality and psychological manipulation, would ultimately tip the scales in his favor. Knull's ability to exploit Sentry's emotional instability, coupled with his own dark powers, makes him a more dangerous and unpredictable opponent. Conclusion: Knull takes the win. In the end, while Sentry's power is immense, Knull's vast array of abilities and his strategic control over the symbiotes make him the more formidable opponent in this battle. Sentry's mental weaknesses could easily be exploited by Knull, who has the power to manipulate Sentry's very emotions. With the added advantage of immortality and control over an army of symbiotes, Knull would likely outlast Sentry in a prolonged battle, ultimately winning in the end. Therefore, in this epic battle between the god of the symbiotes and the hero with the power of 1,000,000 suns, Knull takes the victory. Check out my other videos for more epic character crossovers and battles. Thanks for watching, and stay happy and healthy.